Same look, new car is of course Clint van Oort from the Netherlands as he fires through the gears, already smoking tyres on the back of this S14 as Clint van Oort looking good last year, now feeling even more confident in a fresher chassis. A little wobble there as he slows that car down massively on handbrake but puts it right to the edge of the outside zone. Clint van Oort on the throttle now, flicks and works his way down. Little dab of the handbrake there, dials on big angle, and that could be the key. That's Jacob, as he gets to that final outside zone. Look at that.
Yeah, just putting that out there.
They're being very critical of this circuit. They know it can be done. They know it can be done well. They just need to see it. Clint van Oort right now comes in absolutely hammering through. And look at this big speed, big angle, big amount of smoke out the back of this brand new S14 for 2025 for Clint van Oort, right to the edge of the circuit. And this is beautiful from van Oort right now. The Dutch driver means business. Oh, yes, Clint van Oort. Oh! And a little check up with a clutch kick, almost. Almost, and there we go, we get a green light this time as they are through and down they come through the gears. Clint van Oort, a bit of separation now. That restart may have shook Clint van Oort just slightly, but he's trying to get himself back into the fight. Now he's hustling and bustling, trying to get down, and he's going to make contact with the front wheel. Oh, wow! How did Clint van Oort keep himself out of trouble there as Clint van Oort is absolutely hustling and tussling, trying to get himself back into that fight, onto the rear wheel he jumps. This is scrappy from van Oort, but he gets himself in the question.
Yeah, very, very scrappy, a little disjointed, a little wide.
Off the line he goes. Conor Shanahan would have been told, look, it was scrappy, we still need to stay with him. Big click, big flick from Clint as he fires that car through now. Clint van Oort starts to pull some ground on Shanahan. You can see Shanahan trying to get that car where it needs to be, but van Oort struggles to get to outside zone 4. He's trying to pull away from Shanahan. You can see the pace of the car, pulling the body panels clean off that S14 as Clint van Oort once again back on throttle, big clutch kick, up the hill he goes and across the line. Van Oort putting this car in a wall in practice earlier on, nearly put the front end in and destroyed the car. Luckily was able to save it. Clint van Oort been on a flyer so far this season. What can he do right now as he goes deep into the wall once again? Clint van Oort, a man known for destroying the back end of this S14, but he needs to tame it back a little bit. 10% off that 150 would be nice right now as Clint van Oort goes once again nice and close to the wall. The back end of this S14 seeing some battle damage already as it wobbles and wavers as he flicks himself into the outside zone. A little check-up from van Oort as he stands on the throttle. Another driver over-aggressive. Can he dial it back? He scored an 89.5, 20th position for van Oort at the moment. What can he do? And this looks like he's tamed it down maybe a little bit, not so aggressive into this outside zone as Clint van Oort puts the spoiler on the wall, tickles the tail light again out of the back end of that S14A as he puts bumper to wall. This is beautiful from van Oort at the moment. It's very technical, shallow angle though into the outside zone as he now flicks it to angle in that second to last outside zone, up into the wall he goes and across the line.
Arguably the hardest working person.
Here we go, the Finnish fans on their feet cheering for Mika Keski-Korpi as Clint van Oort flicks that car across the circuit. The Dutch driver will want to put on a show right here and a little bit of redemption for Spain as he goes wide into this outside zone. And look at this, from Clint van Oort, destroys the back end and it forces him out of that second outside zone very, very quick. Mika Keski-Korpi dealing with it as they fire through the middle of the circuit. Clint van Oort seems to have got this car figured out and the grip. As Mika Keski-Korpi holds back and lets Clint van Oort fire body panels in his face as they go wide into the puddle on a cross and transition for this final outside zone as Clint van Oort can't make it there. Stuck to the qualifying line. What can he do in the lead position though? They get the green light ready to go. Clint van Oort to chase down Mika Keski-Korpi, and we know Clint van Oort's been known for that aggressive chase. And look at the initiation, but he's on the inside now as Clint van Oort. He's way out of sync and he's going to have to reinitiate. He can't get himself back into formation as Keski-Korpi holds it together. Very clever driving from the young Finnish driver as he fires through. Clint van Oort gets himself back in to where he needs to be, but Keski-Korpi can't find the outside zone. They fire down the hill as Mika Keski-Korpi puts foot to floor, tries to dial on all the angle to avoid the puddle. They transition. Keski-Korpi knows he needs to be high on the bank. Can he get there? He can, but Clint van Oort's on the door.
Yeah, so that run was
2JZ Nissan 206 S14. And Clint van Oort saying over the weekend, not feeling too good, the car not really where he wants it to be, he's not feeling himself in the driving. What can he do now in qualifying? It's time to prove his worth as he comes down, little wheel on the curb but makes it work. As Clint van Oort goes right to the edge of the circuit, uses that edge of the circuit to bump himself back across the track. Now he goes nice and wide, almost too wide, a little dry patch there forming on the outside zone as he struggles to get that car to angle, and it's now starting to get patchy already. but the windscreen wipers are still on for Clint van Oort as he hammers the throttle, hammers the rev limiter, and it's scrappy towards the end as he picks up that final zone across the line.
Yeah, easily he's able to put it all back together.
Yeah.
His tire pressures look really low.
They do look really low, and he's turned it up, and now as he slams through the gears inside the car, you can see how focused Clint van Oort is. The man from the Netherlands fires that car to angle, picks up the front wheel, puts it to the edge of the circuit, just about keeps the wheels on the tarmac as Clint van Oort now works his way around this outside zone, foot to the floor as he locks up the front wheel, balances that car right to the edge of the circuit, flicks it towards the wall, a little nervous, but makes it work as he lets the car wash right to the edge of the zone, and now across to the final outside zone.
See what cards he decides to deal out on this run.
Well, I'm interested to know what was wrong with Marco Zaccaril's car and what forced him to get out of the car under the bonnet to work out that issue. He's onto the back bumper already of the Dutch drivers. S14 as they fire through. Clint van Oort puts that car where it needs to be, and this is cleaner driving from Clint van Oort that we see yesterday in qualifying. A little big wobble there from both drivers. Oh, on a little contact. Zaccaril scrappy right now, struggling to find that form that he had yesterday in qualifying, in the qualifying showdown, as he puts that car right to the edge of the circuit. Clint van Oort doing a good job, and another shove in the side from Zaccaril.
Yeah, that was
the reason for quite a bit of that contact as we come through off the line now. Clint van Oort onto the back bumper of that BMW 2 Series through the gears. The clutch kick from Marco Zaccaril as he sets himself up nicely. Now down he comes. Yeah, that car not reacting quite so right as Clint van Oort using Zaccaril as a buffer, a bumper to hold him on the circuit. They get into that outside zone 4 through the gears, and down they come. As now Zaccaril starts to pull away from Clint van Oort. Clint van Oort lost on the middle of the circuit, trying to shortcut, trying to drive back up onto the side of that BMW, but he's lost in the smoke.
Yeah, I really felt like Clint just not able to get the speed to the ground that we saw to Marco Zaccaril.
As the light goes green on the start line, they come through the gears and ready to get this one underway as Clint van Oort leads out Marco Zaccaril. Zaccaril already on the back bumper, but a nice flick to angle for Clint van Oort, and a lot cleaner for Clint van Oort this time. An understeer once again for Marco Zaccaril. Missed the transition, had to reinitiate as Clint van Oort now puts himself right in the outside zone. Looks for the transition back right to the edge of the circuit as Van Oort goes for the outside zone. This is cleaner. It's a wheel off circuit. He manages to deal with it as Clint van Oort goes for that final zone with Zaccaril on the door.
That's taking notes right away.
It's a big statement to everyone else on the grid. We go through the gears, they go, they get the green light. Zaccaril to lead out Clint van Oort. Clint van Oort looks to give some room here to Marco Zaccaril on initiation. He doesn't know what Zaccaril's car is going to do, how it's going to react, and both guys hold on. Both guys almost make a mistake there as Clint van Oort now fires and puts himself very wide and in the gravel. And Clint van Oort now throws himself into a situation where he's thrown away possibly the second run of the battle. And he doesn't even continue to drift, shuts it down instantly. 200 XS 900 horsepower, parked it backwards into the wall, destroyed the whole back end of the car, including the radiator. The team been working tirelessly to get it back out on circuit right now. And a tentative initiation from Clint van Oort. He drops out on the outside zone, has to triangulate it now. Can he find himself back on that qualifying line? Working hard. Van Oort, another driver that's been struggling this season, in qualifying especially, as he now puts foot to floor, looks for that zone, gets it over that bump. You can see where it unsettles the car, but good transition from Van Oort as he parks the back end of this S14 onto the wall, smoking the tyres across the line.
Clint was one of my early picks in prep.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes for Clint. Flexible.
Yes.
36th place at the moment for Clint van Oort. We spoke about this earlier. Gets inside his own head. Can he keep the nerves away? Can he focus on the job in hand as he puts that car where it needs to be? Or wanders out of outside zone 1. You can see him on the foot brake as he flicks that car across the circuit. He's going to be way on the inside, and he is. Clips the inside zone with the rear wheel as he flicks it up, puts that car to angle, and now back on the handbrake, trying to find all those zones, slows it down, wanders and wavers, puts it into a spin, and back into the wall.
Well, thankfully that back end moves around quite easily, as you said, flexible, but
it's very flexible. The Netherlands is an S14 2JZ, 900 horsepower. This man struggling in qualifying all year, saying that can't just get things out of his head, and he said he feels better this weekend. Looks like he's more in the zone. Likes the track, likes the zone, likes to be on the walls, and here comes Clint van Oort as he puts the back end of that yellow S14 where it needs to be. Nice line into the outside zone. Look at that, tickles the wall the whole way around so far as Clint van Oort just rubs the bumper along the wall. Once again, Clint van Oort feeling strong, feeling confident, dials on the angle, foot flat to the floor across the line from the Dutch driver. Looking strong, feeling good. He said it's run by run. What can we do as he comes off the line? The driver from the Netherlands to JZ powered Nissan 206 S14 as the anti-lag pops and bangs from under the car, stands on the throttle nice and early. Now that is what we're talking about. As Clint van Oort puts it right where it needs to be. Nice line through 2 and 3. Slows that car down, but struggles to get to 4. Now finds the back end of that S14 into the outside zone. Goes for the transition, looks to try and clean this one up as Clint van Oort goes for the last 2 outside zones towards the wall across the line.
So outside zone 4 is interesting.
RS13 into gear, they come off the line. It's McKeever to lead out. Clint van Oort for spot in the top 16, and McKeever and van Oort would both want this more than anything after a bad year for both of them. Nice line for McKeever at the moment as he now starts to open up the throttle, put that car right where it needs to be. Good transition, but Clint van Oort still in the pocket, still in the zone as he looks for the door, looks for the front wheel, that 180 SX. They fire through outside zone 4, and a little mistake there from Clint van Oort as he scuffles and wanders and wavers and tries to get himself into the fight, onto the wheel and onto the door.
Yeah, Clint's car looks really, really hooked up, and it would seem like he was kind of
the Netherlands. Can he take down the Northern Smoke Machine? As he comes off the line and through the gears, Dwayne McKeever now in tow as they fire through. Nice early initiation from Clint van Oort. He's shallow on outside zone 1, and McKeever has to back out of it. Now going to try and find himself back in as Clint van Oort goes nice and deep into outside zone 3. Looks for the transition back and floats that car into outside zone 4, but it opens the door massively from McKeever as McKeever now squeezes that 180 SX into the pocket, onto the side of that yellow S14. They fire through into outside zone 6, and there's no shaking the Northern Smoke Machine as they go towards the wall and across the line.
Yeah, it really, really showed on the lead up to that just how fast Clint van Oort's car was.
100 horsepower as he slams that car into gear and comes off the line, deciding to put a fresh body kit on the car and make it look pretty once again for the final round. The Drift Masters as he hangs that spoiler over the wall, now brings the front end in. Clint van Oort looking comfortable this weekend. Beautiful line from Clint van Oort. Look at this as he dances the back end along the walls. Clint van Oort now works his way around outside zone 4, and it's absolutely beautiful from Clint van Oort. Dials on even more angle for outside zone 5 as he goes for outside zone 6. Just a little amount of slowing, but then back on the throttle once again. The Dutch driver, no messing around as he dials on the angle, clips the wall and gets it across the line. Sylvia S14 to JZ, 1,000 horsepower underneath the bonnet as he screams through the gears. Clint van Oort at the moment sitting in 29th position with an 88.5. Takes the tail light out the back of the car, and it's aggressive from Clint van Oort as he goes for it. Clint van Oort is absolutely firing through the circuit. Big angle, big speed, big aggression. But what do the judges think of it? As he looks for outside zone 5, he's absolutely smoking out the Pagayan Aerodovway right now. As Clint van Oort goes to the wall, just flexes the back end. He looks for the outside zone 7, puts the back end up onto the wall and across the line.
Style points are there, baby, that's for sure.
What can he do as he comes off the line in the chase position? It's going to be Jakob Kroll to lead out. Clint van Oort for a spot in the top 16 awaits as they fire into that first outside zone. And Clint van Oort tags the side of Jakob Kroll. Slow initiation for Kroll, and he stands on the foot brake there as he comes through the middle of the circuit. Contact once again. Jakob Kroll puts it into a spin, and Clint van Oort has to take avoiding action into the wall.
Yeah, well, we expected some carnage, and as you alluded to earlier on, the controversy, but we'll see how it goes as they swap things around.
Yeah, well, certainly so. Here we go. Clint van Oort now off the line to lead out Jakob Kroll, and we know that Clint van Oort has got an advantage. Dials on loads of angle and forces Jakob Kroll into a spin. That was a big mistake there from Clint van Oort as he now transitions to outside zone 4. I don't think that car is 110%, or maybe Clint van Oort is a little bit rocked, and now this could go the other way if the judges deem that Clint van Oort caused Jakob Kroll to spin. This could flip 180 degrees.
Yeah, really, really strange what all went down there as he gets into that first outside zone.
That's after Jakob. We've still got to get through a top 32. Here we go. Off the line they go through the gears. Clint van Oort and Jakob Kroll, both big clutch kicks on initiation. Look at that from Clint van Oort. Aggressive on initiation into that first outside zone. Oh, Clint van Oort taking hits to the side of Jakob Kroll's car. Now has to back out of it. And it's scrappy from Clint van Oort now as he gets himself into outside zone 4. Van Oort back into it, back on the door of the Polishman as they fire through, look for outside zone 5. They transition back once again in to outside zone 6. Clint van Oort dives onto the door of Jakob Kroll. Oh, climbs the front wheel. Clint van Oort is a man possessed this evening.
I know it's not what they're supposed to be doing, but I mean, it's exciting. And Clint van Oort absolutely makes contact, just flying through this run, and Jakob Kroll is left to spectate from the back.
Well, we're going to find out. Here we go. They're off the start line. Big flick from Clint van Oort as he puts that that car into that first outside zone. Look at this, up into the wall he goes. There's no shaking Jakob Kroll though. Jakob Kroll seems to be like he's on a flyer right now. Headlight towards the wall for Clint van Oort, and this young Dutchman is flying through outside zone 4. But look at Jakob Kroll, he's back into it again, back onto the front wheel as they fire through the middle of the circuit. Almost contact on the transition as Clint van Oort goes for the outside zone. Jakob Kroll shallows up the angle, goes for the front wheel. Clint van Oort dials on the angle, but van Oort gets the job done. Building, cars are in gear and they're creeping off the line. This is the first battle of our top 16 underway here at the final of Drift Masters. They fire in Hines into that first outside zone. Look at Van Oort though, aggressive, tags the wall, tags Alan Hines, has to back out of it. Oh! Clint van Oort mistimes the transition and hits the wall head on in front of the grandstand as Alan Hines will be shown a red flag, unsafe to cross the circuit. And we wait to see if Clint van Oort is okay. He's in the car moving. It looks like he's given the thumbs up to our marshal.